To another video from Jeff and Jen with our life under construction here in the Philippines. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, we're continuing our house build, and we're getting ready for the concrete pour. And the days leading up to this, we filled in all of our hollow blocks as our formed, and we made staples out of rebar. And the staples joined each hollow block together, and then we filled them with concrete. Then we ordered 120 pieces of 6 meter or 19 or 20 feet rebar, and we laid those in a 1 foot by 1 foot pattern and tied them off. Because it was a round house in so many circles, there was so much cutting and measuring. Every piece had to be kind of cut and measured and put into place. So, it was a lot of back and forth walking to the cutting station and putting it in. We ended up ordering another 20 more, 140, reinforced the outside, and we had 1,400 ties in order for the rebar. There was a lot. That finally came the day of the pour, and we once again ordered City Star Construction because that was the only concrete place that was we can find that was available, and that was willing to come out to where we were. So right now we are waiting for the truck to show up, and we're setting our leveling bar there, so it's at the right height. The truck was supposed to show up at 6, but they didn't show up till 7:30, and we wanted them to show up at 6 because we wanted to work in the cool of the morning, and so we wouldn't have to do too much sun in the afternoon. So that did put us a little bit behind schedule, and that was disappointing. But that's just the way it is, right? And so here's the first of 3 trucks. We had 4 meters, cubic meters, and 3 cubic meters and 4 cubic meters. So a total of 11 cubic meters. I only wanted to order, I think it was 9 cubic meters, and we ended up getting 11. Because if I calculated correctly, the square footage, I don't know about the square meter, but square footage of the slab is about 1,005 square feet. So with a kitchen, a bathroom, 3 bedrooms, and a center dome, which is the kind of the living room. And so we started pour here. What was very funny is when I started to lay out these boards here so that we can, run the wheelbarrow on there, our neighbor Junjun kept picking up the boards and moving, and every time Jen watches the video, she laughed, right? And then I would move it back. And the thing is, he had no idea what I was doing, and so I don't know why he kept moving them. But eventually he left them alone, and we had a boards for the wheelbarrow here. So you can see the forms are ready, and the rebar is ready. And we have 1 truck here, and you can see the other truck is already sitting in the driveway waiting to unload. So, this was an entire day process from 7:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. So in order to make this into a 15-minute video, Jen has sped this up 800 times, I think, makes it go really fast, which is kind of comical to watch it in high-speed motion, but it does reduce the time of the video a lot. And so we had a plan of attack here, and we have this is a 3-bedroom. The bedrooms are small, dome house, and so we're working on the 3rd bedroom. And the reason why we do that, because being here for 8 months, we know that this bedroom here will be the first one to get the sun and the heat in the day. So if we could complete this bedroom first, then we could avoid that heat in the sun. And if you're working in the sun and the heat, that concrete will set up very, very, very quickly. And so here we have Noli. He's Jen's cousin, and we hired him as our foreman. And he's using the pivot arm, and he's also using that to vibrate the concrete and to level it off and flatten it off. And so I'm very happy with the 3rd bedroom, how it went. It went quite good. And generally it's quite level and quite flat, and oh yeah, it was okay out of all the different rooms of the house. And so in the Philippines, often pour like this would not be with a truck. What they would do is they ordered like 80 bags of cement, and they would order 6 or 7 cubic meters of sand and gravel, and then they would mix it on site. And they would do this over 2 or 3 days. They would mix and pour, and that's just the way they do it here. However, we really didn't have any place to place a big load of sand and rock, and 100 places of pieces of cement bags, and you just don't know like what the weather will get. You could have 2 full sunny days, but then you can get a big thunderstorm in the afternoon and ruin your plan. So here their third bedroom is pretty well done. It's quite flat, and we are already starting to fill into the bathroom or the comfort room. So now, after that, like I talked with Noli about doing the kitchen, because that's where the trucks were emptying their trucks right into the kitchen, and then we were wheelbarrowing it or taking it in buckets over to the place that we were working in. And there was so much concrete there that I said, let's just finish the kitchen. And Noli said, no, let's not. And then about 5 or 10 minutes later, we worked on the kitchen. So it went from the third bedroom to the bathroom and to the comfort room. And slowly we're working into the center dome. And that's where we started to have problems because, again, the truck showed up late. Things started to get warm. And it was the center dome was kind of neglected and started to harden up pretty quickly. And so it was a very physical day, very tiring day. Everybody was exhausted by the end of the day. Because just working with the heavy concrete, shoveling and raking and hoeing. And so here I realized the issue and the problem here, and I'm starting to look at both the second bedroom dome here and the center dome. And I'm trying to level out the center dome and the second bedroom, because just not enough people and it's setting up. So here I'm using the pivot arm, and I'm going back and forth trying to just vibrate and level off the concrete, and it's already getting hard. Now this video here is slightly out of order. This is they were finishing off the kitchen, and the kitchen doesn't have a center pole for the pivot arm, so we just had to use a piece of wood that was straight, and we leveled off the concrete here. And then Laren, which is the twins' father here, he's good at finishing, and Noli assigned him to finishing the concrete off, and so he does a pretty good job at that. And then we went from the third bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen, and then the truck started to pour the concrete into the master bedroom. And so the master bedroom went fairly well as far as the floor went and leveling it off. And so did the second bedroom, which was really surprising because it was kind of worked on and then not worked on and worked on and not worked on. But it ended up not too bad. But the center dome had problems here. And so here I'm trying to use a hoe here and bring in the concrete into the center dome, because it was hardening up and it was like having big problems there. And you can see later in the video that we actually have to try to chop the concrete out. It's getting super hard because it's just not leveled. And at the end of the video, you'll see that once the concrete was dry and hard, that they started to mix like a topping cement on top of the poured concrete, and they tried to fix up a lot of the mistakes that were there. And so this is just the way it is in the Philippines, and we don't have a perfectly level floor or flat floor. It's hard. I think it's well poured, and the rebar is good. But we're not worried about that because we finish the house here with tiles, right? And so when you put on a cement layer down on the concrete slab, then you put on your tiles, and then you'll have a nice, beautiful, flat floor. So it doesn't have to, this slab doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. It just has to be done. And that's what happened for the day. So once we got this done, and before the concrete got too hard, we got Jen in here. She's using a string line and a 1-foot piece of wood as a measuring guide. And she's taking rebar that I pre-cut. I cut, I think, 120 of them at 12 inches. And so she is hammering those into the concrete so that later when we start with our hollow blocks, we can put our hollow blocks onto the rebar, and it will give it extra support when we're building the domes. Again, we ordered too much concrete, and we had 3 trucks. And near the end, we realized that we had more than 2 extra yards of concrete with really nothing to do. We started to fill in the outside of the dome. And so where our rock wall foundation is, we started pouring concrete over that, which is good. We didn't want to make it fancy or anything. But once the domes are made and and it rains and the water is going to flow off the domes, it's going to just flow right off the house and right off those rocks. So the concrete on there actually does help disperse the water. Here you can see that one of our helpers here, Bent, is trying to chop the concrete here because it's hard and they're having a very difficult time to do with it. So I had to use a pick and axe and try to chop that out so that we can level off our concrete. And so there was mistakes there, and it was setting up too quickly that we weren't able to properly do that. Now, looking back at the day, there's always things that, I wish you could do differently. I could have maybe made a trough where we could have dumped the concrete into a trough, and we could have distributed the concrete easier. But I really think one thing that could have helped is a second wheelbarrow with a pneumatic tire, with an air tire. And so we could have distributed the concrete a lot quicker. But it was done, and like I said, everybody was tired. But we got our concrete pads finished, and we're on to the next stage after that. Here in the afternoon, we started getting wind, and while our tarp just didn't hold out, we had to basically take it down. And you can see we're pouring the concrete here on the rock wall foundation here. And we actually got most of the rock wall covered. Now, it wasn't quite, but I was really, really happy the way it went. And so now we're on to the next phase, which our next video will be showing you the construction and the finished arches that we had to make. And then after that, we're into making aircrete and building a house. So once again, it's Jeff and Jen here from the Philippines and here in Mindanao. If you would like, and please like our video and share, subscribe, and help us to grow our channel. And soon we're going to be getting into the aircrete, and that's probably 1 or 2 more videos. And I think people will really enjoy that and the construction method that we're using to build our house.